Hey guys, and welcome back to Culture Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe. And this week, we're talking about films from our past, either childhood films or whatever. I don't actually really know what we're calling this, but
It's like kind of like films that are like mean a lot to us, basically.
ah,
It's the best way. I think that's the best way to describe it because like we kind of want to talk about our favorite films, but like also like films that are like films that actually made us appreciate cinema in some ways. So
oh, okay.
maybe that's a way to put it. Is that a better way to put
Yeah, probably. It's a lot
it?
better than just like talking about films from our childhood, I guess.
Let's talk about movies. I mean, even that's not a bad thing to. Yes, it's not exactly the worst thing.
I mean, it's not actually, it's not something we do often, so,
Yeah, yeah.
but yes, movies.
Okay, let's general question, Nathan. Like, I don't think we've talked about movies in general, like you said. What is your go-to movie? Because I know, like manga and anime, you're always like the shonen guy. You like some martial arts and like battle kind of stuff. What is your go-to kind of movie?
I feel like my go-to movie isn't that far from like shonen stuff.
Oh yeah.
I tend to like action films.
Mm-hmm.
Action or like sci-fi. I really like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I like Star Wars and Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
and things like I mean my favorite film is Limitless because
No, that's yeah.
it's not quite sci-fi, but it's got that kind of like
It's kind of like a thriller, like kind of thing, isn't it? That's what I'm
yeah,
thinking about. Yeah.
but like I like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I'd say if I had to pick like a genre, that's kind of what I would go for.
Mm-hmm.
An action or maybe like a sci-fi film.
I get you, yeah, yeah. So, like, would you prefer something that is a little bit like less thinky kind of thing, where it's like, okay, cool, like blazers, exciting action, like big fight scenes?
Yeah, pretty much. I want to just sort of sit and enjoy and not have to process too much.
Okay, yeah,
Not that it's like I don't appreciate a good story in a film, but you know when you're just sort of like, man, I just want to I just want to watch stuff.
so something like Inception, for example, like where you had.
That's used to be my favorite film before Limitless.
Oh, really? Okay, considering it's like quite a big thinky film as well. There's so many different things you can.
It is, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. Inception never felt like I needed up until like the end of the film. It didn't feel like I was like struggling to keep up.
I get you, yeah.
It was just like it had such an engrossing like story that I was like I just got it. You know,
Mhm.
like I was in with that film with the premise. So it is funny you bring that up because that's like contrary to everything I just said.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing with Inception as well is that it is such a grandiose film, and like obviously you have a lot of the special effects there as well. Like there's an amazing cast,
Yeah.
and like there's so much to it, and it's such a like a big film. Like it's one of those ones that I feel like you do have to focus on it because if you just like tune out or whatever, say if you're watching it at home and you just went on your phone for about 10 minutes and be like, oh, let's look back at the film, you would not know what the fuck is going on. You need to pay attention to that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it helps that I did watch that in the cinema when it came out.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think because I think we must have seen it together at the time. I reckon.
No, actually, I think I saw it with another one of our close friends. I don't think you came with us.
Is it? Okay, it probably is that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it would have been around that kind of time though, like when we were like kind of so.
Yeah, it's around that time, but I don't remember the circumstance. I think a bunch of you were busy, or maybe you were on holiday or something.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, that is that is quite a grandiose film. Like, I mean, Chris Nolan films in general, like you either get it's one of those things I feel like you love them or hate them, in my opinion.
For Chris Nolan films, Batman and Inception are the only ones I've properly watched.
Mm.
I don't think I've seen anything else.
I've seen Interstellar. There's Dunkirk. Dunkirk's a Chris Nolan film, I think. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so.
There's a few I've seen. I've seen Tenet, which is fucking awful. Hated that.
I have heard that.
I've seen oh, what was the one? Memento as well. Yeah, that's like like a bit of backstory. When I was in uni, like my uni lecturer absolutely loved Memento. And like he was like a massive Chris Nolan fan.
Okay, so it was one of those kind of right.
So he was like, you have to watch it. Like he showed us Memento, and I think I like second or third lecture, and he was like, "This is one of the best films ever." And like I sat there and I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's a decent film." But it's like you know, like one of those films where it's just like it's there, like it's for something that like the film buffs can say, "This is a masterpiece. This is such a good thing."
Yeah.
Like you know when people like really get really into a film and they start praising it loads, and it's like, this is like, you have to see this. Like,
Yeah.
it's like one of the best things in cinema ever. And it's kind of like, I think we've discussed this before, when something is overhyped to a certain amount, it's just like, okay, when you watch it, it's like, it's fine. Like, I still felt this like about Pulp Fiction as well, like Tarantino films and stuff. I feel like those kind of films for me are hit and miss as well, because everyone hypes Tarantino so much.
I think for the big name directors, sometimes it's better to just not know what people are saying. I kind of agree with you. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen some of Tarantino's films,
Yeah.
like just by accident, like watching Film 4 or whatever back in the day.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
But like, I think the only time I've agreed with the crowd on like something like that was like when I finally got round to watching Django Unchained, and I was like, oh, okay, that was a good film. That was pretty good.
I haven't actually seen that one.
You haven't? That's a pretty
Nah.
good one. That's a very solid film.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it though.
I really enjoyed that. Like, and that was, I didn't watch that for, I think I watched it 2 years after it came out.
Okay.
But that's one of those films that everyone was like, oh my God, it was so good. That film was so good. Like, film of the
Yeah.
year, Oscar worthy. And like, even 2 years later, people were still being like, oh my God, that film. I still watched it and went, yeah, I get it. That was fucking really good. Solid film.
I'm sure I'll get round to it eventually. Like, as you said, like, it's one thing I'm trying to like keep in the back of my. I know that it's a Tarantino film. I know that it could be either hit or miss for me. So I'm kind of like, yeah, keeping that in the back of my mind. But yes, films in our childhood though, in some sense, what is a film that you kind of like? Okay, look, let's ask this. Your favorite film is obviously Limitless.
Yes.
So you go through that. Like, is it like kind of like, is there something along those lines as well, which is quite similar to Limitless? If like with your general taste in films, like if you had like the top 5, for example, like are they all quite the same, similar, or are they like kind
of? No, not really. Actually, they sort of, they sort of jump in genres because it's like I couldn't say a definitive top 5, but like definitely Limitless is my favorite film.
Yeah.
Inception, I think, is my second favorite film.
Ah.
And then it's like somewhere in there is a comedy film. I couldn't pin down which scary movie I like the most,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a.
but that's because it's like I watched those when I was around 14, and I just
Yeah.
at that time I found them so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I probably would say Scary Movie 2 is my favorite.
I'm inclined to agree with you because having gone back and rewatched a lot of the scary movies, I used to think 2 and 4 were my favorites, but then I watched 4 again.
Oh, 4, interesting.
But then I watched 4 again. I was like,
It's not bad, but
4 was not a good. It's not good. I think it's I think it's because I watched it in cinemas and I thought it was really funny.
oh, okay.
And then I still thought like, because I haven't watched all of them. I think the other 3 I watched on TV. Or like I had like DVDs or something.
The first 2 I watch on TV, but I do have all 4 on DVD.
Yeah. But going back and looking at them, I think 2 is the funniest. I think 1's okay. 1 is the thing that established it, because that's like,
1's pretty good for like the first film though.
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like as an establishing thing to like be like, oh, this is what we're doing. These are parody films now. And it's like, first one's not bad for that. Second one is definitely an improvement.
Yeah, I didn't like 3 as much. I remember that. I thought 3 was kind of like, I didn't really care for it too much.
I mean, 3 and 4 was like, okay. And I never watched the new, like the reboot one, like 5 or whatever it was.
Nah, I never watched any past 4. I think I might have watched 1 and then it was like, this is too cringe. I think at that point I rewatched Scary Movie 4 and I was like, okay, this is nowhere near as good as I thought it was.
I haven't rewatched them in so long though. I don't know how much they would hold up.
Oh, it's one of those things where it probably is best that you don't rewatch them, because I feel like if you went back now and looked at me, I think it's like, when you watch like Family Guy.
Yeah.
And it's like there's certain parts of Family Guy you're like, okay, yeah, I found this funny like 10 years ago. Like, and your humor changes a little bit.
It's funny you bring that up because like I don't know if it would be in my top 5.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Blue Harvest because you remember at the peak of it, I did watch that all the time. And at the peak of it, I'd watched it so much, I almost knew the film like word for word. Like I almost knew every scene, every line,
Yeah.
I could almost recite that film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's up there somewhere, I guess. I don't watch as much films as I did when I was like a teenager though. So that's the thing. Like a lot of my list would be from around that time.
Yeah.
Fuck, I had one in my mind just before Fucking Blue Harvest. Now I've forgotten it.
We were talking about Scary Movie, weren't we? Yeah.
That was it. But then on the complete opposite scale of like comedies,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there is Hacksaw Ridge. I watched it in the worst way because I watched it on a plane.
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, that film was still so good and so poignant that like even watching it off of a tiny like fucking airplane screen, I was like, this is such a good film.
Remind me what Hacksaw Ridge is again?
So that's the one that stars Andrew Garfield. He's a field medic in the war,
Okay.
and he's gets trapped on like a ridge, like up a cliff,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone else has abandoned, and the ridge is kind of, they're trying to reclaim it,
Mm-hmm.
and instead everyone in his platoon, like, they've all retreated, the enemy is still firing, and through the night he's actually saving people.
Okay.
He doesn't use a gun, he doesn't kill anyone, but he's a field medic who's literally just doing his job.
Ah.
He risks his life in enemy territory and is just saving people as the night goes on and bringing them to the like rendezvous point, setting them down the lift. And like as the night goes on, they realize like, oh, what is this? Like as it continues, and he's just constantly saving people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it was just a really, really good film. Highly recommended.
Okay. Fair. When did it come out?
I think it came out just before Dunkirk.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So it's really.
It was that year that like basically 2 war films came out.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, I think Hacksaw Ridge was the better one.
Incredible. Yeah.
I never saw Dunkirk, but from what I've heard, Hacksaw Ridge is way better. One of our friends actually agrees with me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think they went to see Dunkirk with you, and they were like, no, Hacksaw Ridge is way better.
I think Dunkirk's one of those ones where it's an interesting film. And it is not a bad one at all, but it's not like one of my favorites. This is one thing as well. I'm not a big fan of war films. Like I've never really enjoyed war films. I feel like I can understand why there's a great way to tell a story there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of history, but like for me, I prefer a lot more light-hearted, something I can like just chill, like watch, like kind of not put too much like this like emotional kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love emotional film. I do like emotional films, but war is always like depressing undertones to it.
I think that's why I liked Hacksaw Ridge. It was set in that like you said, like, because war is depressing, obviously. It's like, it's a serious topic, but like it had that like heartwarming undertone because it is a man against the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the right thing, and you know, like you get a lot of good conclusion from it.
Okay.
So like I actually would recommend that film though. Like it is a really good film, and it's based on a true story. So
Yeah, that's I like when it comes down to true story stuff as well. That's another one of the things. Unless it's really fucking stupid. Like I don't know if you've seen any promo for it at all. But have you ever seen the trailer for? Because I don't think you've watched it because it's quite hard to find for us in the UK. The Weird Al Yankovic movie.
yeah, I saw the trailers for it.
Mate, it's one of those things where you think it's going to be like a biopic, like kind of thing, like, you know, like the Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man.
Yeah.
But it's done in such a Weird Al way. It's absolutely fantastic. I've only watched the first half of it because like I was watching it hungover at like a mate's place. But oh my god, like I really want to finish that film because it is absolutely ridiculous, and it says based on a true story. And there's literally it's where Weird Al is like he wants to learn the accordion as a kid, and his dad's like, no, you're gonna work in the factory. And Weird Al's like, what do you even do at the factory? And he's like, factory things. it's like such, and then like an accordion salesman turns up at his house. He's like, I'm here to sell you an accordion. Weird Al lets him in as a kid, and his dad walks in. He's like, what? There's not going to be any accordions in this house. And there's literally about a minute long montage of his dad beating up this accordion salesman. And it is just like, what on earth is this? It catches you so off guard, but it is so funny. Like Daniel Radcliffe is in it, and it is so absurd. Like I really want to continue watching it, but it's only on like Roku or something.
Yeah, that's like another film. Is the Tetris movie, but that's only on Apple TV or whatever. Like I don't want to watch that because that's like based on a true story. They obviously take a bit of liberties here and there.
Yeah.
But that looked cool.
Yeah, it sounded really interesting.
I watched a YouTube video like explaining the actual story of that. Surprisingly, the story of Tetris is quite crazy.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, there's like so much like weird business dealings going on.
Interesting.
And there's so many different people like involved that you're just kind of like, how the fuck? And it's all just because one guy made this game and everyone was addicted, and then he just wanted to spread it. Like someone else found it and was like, cool, I want to spread this around the world. This is great. And he's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. But then they can't because just business shit, man.
Okay. I do want to watch it, to be fair. Like,
I want to watch that because it's Taron Egerton as well. And I like,
yeah, he's a good
ever
actor.
since The Kingsman, I really,
Oh, that's
that's another film that would be in my list. I really enjoyed the first Kingsman.
okay.
But Taron Egerton is just a great actor as well.
He is great. Yeah, I like number 2 as well. I thought second Kingsman was quite good.
2 was good, but like first one was the best one.
Yeah, it was like there's so many good moments to it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like one of those films that I want to see more of it, but I think it's also kind of in a good place where you don't need too much more Kingsman.
Weren't they like supposedly making a third one?
I know, obviously the prequel came out, didn't it?
Oh, that was awful. I don't count that.
I haven't actually seen that, to be fair.
Just don't. It's awful. I watched that. What was it? I think I watched that around last Christmas,
Yeah.
or maybe the Christmas before. Man, what a big regret.
Really?
That was awful.
Okay.
Everything you thought was going to happen that seemed like it was like the logical step. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And like, do you know what? I don't care about it that much. I'm going to spoil it for you, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There's this one character that is in it that you think is going to be really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like not in the film.
Oh, okay.
So like they show him because basically like you think Kingsman's going to start because of the main character's son, who is supposed to be like a desk jockey for the war.
Yeah.
But he wants to go on the front line, so he trades places with a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes into the trenches, and then you think Kingsman's gonna start because of this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out no, because this kid is like they're like talking to him in the trenches, and then the other boys are like, "Who are you? What's your name?" And he's like, I'm this guy," and they're like, "Really? Are you sure?" And then some other fucking dude comes up and he goes, "No, you're not, because he's my best mate. You're not fucking him. You're the enemy." Shoots him in the head, right?
Oh,
so now you're like, oh, so Kingsman didn't start because of this kid. Well, not like didn't start the way you thought it would, because you thought, oh, this kid is going to be the one to be the first,
Yeah, so it's misleading. Yeah.
one of the first, right? No, so then his dad, who's actually the main character, starts like going towards Kingsman. As in, like, he's the one who's basically gonna start it because his son just died.
Okay.
So then, like, the guy that his son replaced in the trenches is the one who tells him, like, your son died in action. So now you think this guy's going to be important. He's not in the film for, like, any of it. And then right at the end, when Kingsman is fucking established, he's back again, and he's one of the first people, and you're like, that makes no fucking sense. He wasn't even there.
Okay, fair. It sounds confusing. I feel like I do want to still watch it just to get a little bit more, like, what the fuck is going on here? I want to kind of see it.
Honestly, watch it knowing that it's a shit film.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine, but seriously, it makes no sense because it is literally, oh yeah, come and join Kingsman, and you're like, he was in the film for like 2 minutes. Why him? He did nothing.
Oh man.
Fuck you, this film's stupid.
Oh man. Okay, fair. I didn't expect the conversation to go that way.
It just infuriates me because, like, it's a good franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's got some cool lore and it could do some cool world building, and then they fucked it up by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I had high hopes for the prequel and then they fucked it up. God, you had one job.
I don't even know what to say, because I wish I could be like, oh yeah, like does it still keep that action though? This is the one thing, because obviously what Kingsman does,
Yeah, the action's still pretty good.
yeah, because like the fight choreography in Kingsman is something that I've always loved. Like that's one thing, if like the mix of the soundtrack kind of thing, and it's like
That you know what? That's probably the best part of the film. They still kept the action. The action's still good, but like the rest of it is just garbage.
okay.
And like this film is also universally just like known as being awful.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anyone who liked this film.
In fairness, I think it's that's the one thing, you're trying to live up to the standard of the first two. I guess that's one thing as well.
Oh, it doesn't even feel like it tried.
Okay.
It doesn't even feel like it tried.
Fair. man. I don't know, like for me, like for my kind of films, I feel like my films that I like are a little bit different to your kind of ones, in fairness, because
I get that feeling, to be fair.
a lot of my top films are very much comedy based looking at them.
Oh, what a surprise. The comedy man likes comedy.
Comedy man. Like, well, to be fair, I'll always say that my number one film of all time is Nightmare Before Christmas.
That has not changed in all the years I've known you.
No, absolutely no. It's like one of those things I remember seeing as a kid, and I remember seeing Tim Burton's like designs of like Jack Skellington, like even like the rest of the Halloween Town residents. It was at that time where I've always been a fan of the aesthetic of Halloween. And obviously this whole thing is like claymation, like Halloween Town pumpkins. And I've always been like, oh, that's so cool. Like it's so spooky and like weird and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
like I think that's where my like fascination for it first started. And like since then it's just like, this is one thing where I always rewatch it, is I always forget how short it is as a movie. Because I think it's only like about an hour 15, an hour 20 or something like that.
This is going to be bad. Cannot confirm. I've never watched it. Everything I know from it is from what I've played in Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, it's a pretty accurate representation of it, because I remember playing Kingdom Hearts when I was younger, Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically. I remember going to Halloween Town and having Jack like follow you around and stuff like that. I was like, this is a thing. It's very accurate representation of it. So I think,
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think it would tell me everything. Like,
no, it doesn't tell you the story. No.
I was gonna say I should probably go and watch the film, but
It's on Disney Plus, to be fair, if you ever did want to watch it. And I mean, now's the time of year where it's probably best. It's October, so
yeah, maybe we'll see.
that means no. I mean, that definitely means he's not gonna watch it. Just because
No.
that's the one thing when people say, maybe I'll get round to it. No, that means they're never gonna get round to it.
Okay, I'll tell you the same thing I tell everyone. I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, that's even
They're evergreen.
Like I use this exact I use the exact excuse. You can't just say I'll put on this. You know who you're speaking to. This is the guy that puts things on the list and it's like never been on.
Well, that's why we got the fucking Cultured Boys first or whatever the fuck we call it. Well,
You know what? When we did Spooktober last year, I should have just made you watch this freaking film. I should have just made you.
I think you have known before that I've never watched that film, so probably could have.
Should have done like we was like struggling for some ideas towards the end of that freaking Spooktober. That's the freaking idea. Let's bring back Spooktober right now so we can freaking do this movie.
Could you imagine just like an hour break in recording, and whilst we go and watch the film, halfway through the episode, it just turns into a different episode.
It becomes a Nightmare Before Christmas episode. But no, that is up there for me, for like one of my honestly my favorite film of all time, I'd say. Like just because it's like there's so much childhood nostalgia with it. I'm a musicals guy as well, and it's a massive musical film. There's a lot of stuff there. Like
Yeah.
I believe it's Hans Zimmer as well that does that.
Is it? Wow.
I think hold on. Let me double check that, because I might be lying for my teeth.
Okay, so this is the episode where definitely we haven't done any due diligence. Normally we're pretty good for that,
Yeah.
but I didn't take any notes this time, and Pepe normally gets notes from me, so
Okay, no, Danny Elfman, my bad, not Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer's a very different person.
yes.
Yeah, Danny Elfman is the one that does it, and I'm pretty sure
Danny Elfman's still good though.
Oh, clearly. But no, that's up there for one of my favorite films. I like, if you talk about more comedy, like kind of films from our childhood as well, Rat Race is another one. I think we've talked, not on record, but I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Rat Race is one of those things where it's like an all-star cast as well of the 90s and like early 2000s. Like, so it's one of those films like that is, it's kind of like, how do I explain this? It's this
one of my favorite films. How do I explain?
look, okay, I'm notoriously bad at explaining things. This is why every episode I'll be like, Nathan,
Yeah.
do you want to give a rundown? Because I'm always the worst at this kind of thing.
I mean, I wouldn't be any better if I didn't take notes, so.
So I've prepared for this a little bit beforehand. I've actually written down the synopsis of Rat Race to give you an idea of what it is.
Hey.
So, this is Nathan's job usually, but I'm taking on this. So Donald Sinclair, who is a casino owner, places 6 gold coins in his casino. 6 contestants who are locked up. Yeah, 6 contestants who are locked up in a locker. What?
He's good at this.
Look, okay, look, rereading it. I copied this synopsis from Google. You see, so I actually didn't read this until this moment. Basically, what I just said: casino owner gives out 6 coins in his casino. Each one, and then they find 6 contestants that win it. They all go for like what they think is a free buffet. Turns out that he's put $1 million somewhere in I think it's it's $2 million actually. Put it somewhere. I can't remember what's the his name. It's Silver something. It's called Silver. There's a location. Basically, he's hid $2 million somewhere. He's given them location, and it's like first one to get there wins the $2 million.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So is this where all those kind of parodies come from?
In what kind of parodies? Like,
Well, you know, like there's the Simpsons episode where the cat burglar steals stuff, and then it's like, oh, the first one to dig out my treasure, it's right here. You get to keep it.
okay, so Rat Race is basically a modern retelling, somewhat, of a film called "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World."
Oh, okay.
So you know, like there's that scene where Bart watches this guy drive his car into a river, and he's like, "Ah, you damn kid!" Blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that is actually a reference from "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World."
Oh, okay.
Like it's a very, very similar concept of money's hidden somewhere, people run to go and find it.
Okay.
But it's got like like Rat Race has got like a load of. When I said it's an all-star cast, right? It is Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese. You've got Whoopi Goldberg in it. You've got Seth Green is in it.
Wow.
You got Cuba Gooding Jr.
Wow. That is a lot of big names.
You know what I mean by like in like it's a big 2000s movie, yeah.
Yeah, that time period.
That for that type, it's like
Well, because you said John Cleese,
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson, like, yeah.
it's like there's a load of great cast in it, and at the end it's so weird because when I say it's of its time, they find the $2 billion or whatever, blah blah stuff happens. I won't give too much details into it, and then Smash Mouth are at the end of the movie.
Ah, rip.
I know, right? Yeah, it's it's a thing. Like they're at the end of the movie, and like I think one of the guys that has one of the coins, he brings his family with him,
Oh.
and the kid's like, "Oh my god, look, it's Smash Mouth!" And it's like it's kind of like at the time that would have been a huge deal, like, and they play All Star at the end of the movie as well, so it's like,
Of course they do. Of course they do.
so of course it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, this is just a film of its time. But I remember, like, this is why, like, for the longest time, Rat Race has been it still is at the top of my movies list. Again, childhood nostalgia. This is a film I loved as a kid. I remember when I went my university interview, I did TV production,
Mm-hmm.
and like I was talking about films with my like lecturer in the future, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh yeah, these are my favorite films. Nightmare Before Christmas. I love Slumdog Millionaire at the time as well. I don't think it's up there for me now, but it's still a really
Never seen it.
never seen Slumdog. It's a very good film.
I get told that all the time. And it was on Netflix for the longest. It might still be.
It probably is somewhere.
I never watched it.
But yeah, it's a very good film. But like, I think when I first saw it, it came out in like 2009, 2008, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So yeah, it came out around those years. And at the time, you know, when you just seen a film and you're very hyped about it,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, this is like one of my favorite films of all time. This is so good. I think I was still in that era where I thought that, and it was like up there. So yeah, I was saying to my university lecturer, yeah, Slumdog Millionaire is one of my favorite films. I like this film. And then he was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And he looked at my application. He's like, you also put down Rat Race as one of your favorite films. And I'm like, yeah, it has an all-star cast. It's like amazing. It's got this, it's got this. And he was like, right, you know it's one of the shittest films out there, right? And I just sat there like, what? Like, bear in mind, you know what I was saying about my
Oh,
university
man.
lecturer, he was one of those people that like Memento, big Chris Nolan fan. I've just told like one of the like biggest Chris Nolan fans ever that Rat Race is my favorite film. And he was like, right, I don't understand this. Why is this a thing? And I'm like, oh my God, like, I literally was explaining to him for about 2-3 minutes why Rat Race was so good, like in terms of comedy and stuff like that.
But like in the form of an interview, especially like for university, a conversation like that actually does stand out to the interviewer though, because like it's like you being passionate about something.
Yeah.
And that probably worked in your favor more than like if they'd been like, oh yeah, that was really good, and then you just stop talking about it there. And then.
I think it's one of those things. You're probably right there, because actually, at least you're like actually saying why you like this film. It's not just, oh yeah, I like this film because it's like popular.
Yeah, because also the interviewer is of an opposing opinion.
Yeah.
Now you're also like, again, in an interview sense, like you telling them point by point, like this is why it's good.
Yeah.
Also kind of shows like critical thinking and things like
Yeah.
it probably was actually really good for your interview.
I mean, yeah, arguably. I mean, I also put down, I think like I also got bonus points for saying The Dark Knight was up there as well, because Dark Knight's a Chris Nolan film. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. That's a great film, but like, it's cheating in it.
Again, at the time, one of the, that era of late 2000s.
Yeah.
Again, I seen the film, I thought it was really good. Like, it still holds up as a great film, but would I say it's one of my favorite films of all time? No. It's great. It's a great film, but not the best in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good film, but like, so I'm with you on that.
But yeah, I think at the time as well, I realized that when I was in university, I was trying to, like, obviously doing TV production and basically filmmaking. I was like there as like trying to write scripts and stuff and make things, which I've, as a 19-year-old, I thought was really edgy and cool. Not realizing that like my passion was in kind of doing comedy stuff. So I only really found that out like halfway through my second year. And for the first year and a half, I was trying to write like really deep and meaningful things, and it just came across as a bit cringe.
Well, Pepe, I hate to say it to you now, but you are cringe, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, I'm unbelievably cringe, to be honest. Like, you can probably watch our, like, you remember like when we first started Cultured Boys, I used to like make really cringy things like at the like we do our intros.
Oh, the cringy intros.
Yeah.
Oh, the cringe intros.
Yeah. That was a thing. That was an active thing that we would do. Like,
Well, active thing that you would do.
I mean, in the episode, you're like tied in with me at this point, so you're with me at this point now. We're one entity, Nathan. We're one entity now.
I was complicit, but I was not doing cringe intros. I was pretty much doing the same intro almost the whole way now, but you would do something cringe, and that would just sort of be the starting gag, quote unquote.
Yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, that is like up there. What other films have I like?
See, like most of the films I would talk about, like if we were talking like real childhood stuff, not like, oh, like teenage years.
Yeah.
I just grew up watching animated films all the time.
Yeah, you're a Disney guy, yeah.
Yeah, Disney, and then when I got a little bit older, like 10 or 11, I got into Ghibli. So like it's still like I still watching animated stuff mostly.
Like, because I only really got into Ghibli in my early teens, I'd say. Like, so kind of like Spirited Away, because when that came out, obviously that won a shit ton of awards and stuff. So
Yeah, that was like the biggest animated film of that year.
that was my induction into Ghibli, because I heard about it and I was like, oh, cool. I like anime stuff. I'll give this a watch.
Yeah.
And then like from that, that's where I obviously watched a crap ton more of Ghibli. Or like, I mean, even then, I feel like I haven't scratched the surface of a lot of films for Ghibli films.
No, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. I've seen a lot of them.
I've seen like a lot of the bigger ones. I think even some of the bigger ones I haven't seen, so it's a bit of a mix.
Ghibli I only got into because I think it was just before Spirited Away or maybe just after. I had a family member that was just like got super into them. Bought like all of the DVDs they could find.
Yeah.
And then basically I would come home from school and just watch another one, like a new one every day.
Wow. Okay.
So like I ended up, seeing like Kiki's Delivery Service, Howl's Moving Castle, like
Yeah.
Castle in the Sky, stuff like all the big ones available at the time. I don't think at that point I'd seen Princess Mononoke yet. I watched Totoro once at that point and I didn't really understand it. I think I fell asleep halfway through.
Yeah.
I've since watched it again, and this is probably a hot take, but Totoro is overhyped. It is not as good as everyone makes it out to be. I will say that for sure.
It's one of those films. I can actually understand why you think that, because it's very, like, in terms of story, I don't think it's a very, like, particularly, like, revolutionary film. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's got a story there, but I wouldn't say it's like the best thing ever. I think it's mainly mascot, basically, is what I'd say. It's the same way.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the visuals and the theming are iconic, and I cannot fault that. Totoro is memorable, like, a lot of that stuff is memorable.
Yeah.
But as a film, no, there are way better Ghibli films than that one.
I'm inclined to agree, yeah.
Totoro, to me, is, like, mid at best.
Ooh.
I don't think Totoro deserves, as a film, to be as, like, big as people have made it. There are much better ones.
Like, it is a mascot film, like Totoro is literally the figurehead. of Ghibli, basically. And
Yeah, it is the mascot, but again, like,
I mean, that's the one thing I agree with you. I think as a concept, Totoro is like it's heartwarming, it's cute, it's nice, but I don't think it's a master. Like I wouldn't say it's like up there in terms of Ghibli films. I agree with you.
I mean, like the one, my favorite one's like not even that well known. So
What's your favorite one?
I definitely have told you about it before, and I probably on recording have said it before. But Grave of the Fireflies,
Oh yes, 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 yeah.
in my opinion, best Ghibli film there is.
I haven't actually seen it, to be honest.
It is the only film in my history as just a person, like in general. I've watched it twice. I cried both times.
Yeah.
First time I didn't know what was going on. Obviously, I cried. Second time, I still knew what was going on, what was going to happen. I still cried. It is the only film that is like been that powerful to me.
Do you find that you cry at a lot of films as well?
No, I normally don't.
Yeah, I think as a kid I used to like cry a lot of stuff, but like when I grew up, I kind of grew out of that kind of thing.
Nah, dude. Even as a kid, I didn't even like cry at Lion King.
Lion King's.
I cried at Pokemon. No, but like the whole like. Okay, we'll circle back.
Yeah, we'll talk about yeah.
But Lion King like it's powerful enough to make a kid cry though, because
It is emotional.
like when Mufasa dies,
Yeah.
and then it's like, Dad, wake up, Dad.
Yeah.
Dad, please. Simba, it's your fault. Like when
Yeah,
Scar
yeah.
comes in, it's like, it's your fault. You did this to him. And it's like, that's like, as an adult, I don't cry at that, but I'd understand why people would.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that would still be powerful because that's probably the first time you're like, experience like, oh, a parent died.
It's an emotional scene. It's a very emotional scene. I can understand why it's kind of iconic to cinema as well in that sense.
Yeah.
Like in terms of Disney films, that is a huge moment.
That's like one of the biggest moments. Like,
Yeah.
long live the king.
It is. That is it. That is like a line that is like throughout like I don't know cinema history is a huge moment.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I always say when I betray someone as well. Like in like video games and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's the line, isn't it? It is the line.
It is an incredible line. In terms of films that have made me cry,
Yep.
as an adult, there's two films.
Okay.
One of them is one you mentioned earlier. It is Pokemon the first movie.
Yep.
Boy, that is up there, man. Like fucking Ash dies in that film, man. And the Pikachu's fighting, the soundtrack, like
I don't know anyone from our generation that watched that film and didn't cry.
mate, it is
Literally, I don't know anyone who didn't, because that is, as a kid, you are never more invested than there are Pokemon and clone Pokemon.
yeah.
And Ash is trying to save everything and trying to stop everything, and the Pikachus slapping each other, the Charizards are like headbutting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is going down, and people, they're like, each side is just crying as well. Like each side is in pain,
Mm-hmm.
and it all swells up. Then Ash turns to stone, and they all think he's dead. How do you not cry?
It's the moment where Pikachu's like electrocuted him, like wake up, Ash. You know,
Yeah,
Pikachu's literally just saying Pikachu, Pikachu, like all this kind of stuff. You know what the fuck he's saying. You don't need a translator to know that Pikachu's like wake up, like wake up.
wake up, Ash, wake up. Ah.
Every kid at the time, like watching this movie, is saying the same thing. Ash, wake up.
Bro, even remember it, my eyes are getting a little like watery.
People that don't watch Pokemon, or have never seen Pokemon the first movie, I tell them that this is one of the two films I cry, and they're like, really? You cried at this film? And like, you watch this film.
Yeah, innit?
You watch this film, but you will understand why at that moment I cried at that thing.
You watch that and you tell me you didn't feel something, you heartless bastard.
Fab, like if you find like Lion King levels of emotional, man, that moment, I think, granted, you probably do need to have an existing knowledge of Pokemon at some level to understand it a bit more
Yeah.
and get into it, because obviously
But like, I don't feel like you need that much extra knowledge though. Like,
I think watching the whole series of Pokemon adds more to it, though. You know, you like.
I mean, yeah.
Because realistically, think about it. We watched the whole Pokemon series at the time. We were there as kids watching this.
Yeah.
So we know their journey a lot more. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's emotional there, but it's extra emotional if you had watched the whole series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like emotional deluxe, the DLC. You know what I mean?
Oh god.
But that's one of them. The other film that I wanted to talk about is again a film that you probably haven't heard of or watched, Nathan. It's About Time.
You've told me about this.
I tell a lot of people about this film.
I think this has been in an episode actually.
I think it probably has, because this is like a freaking emotional film, right?
I feel like I remember getting cover art for this for an episode. I
Yeah.
don't remember what episode, but I'm pretty sure we have talked about this.
So it's about this guy that has the power to time travel, and with advice from his father, he has like the special ability to pursue like a romantic interest. And it's basically about him like finding love with the ability to time travel. So he goes back and redoes a few things, like, and it's that kind of thing. And Bill Nye's in it.
Okay, yeah, we definitely talked about it.
It's got Domhnall Gleeson in it, who is what's his face in Star Wars? You know, I can't remember his name, but he's the ginger one in the newer Star Wars films.
Yeah. We definitely talked about this then. Yep. This has been on an episode somewhere.
It's been there. So it probably has, but man, it is such an emotional film, bro. I cannot stress this enough.
You got me so curious now.
You need to find out where.
Please continue. I just need to know what episode this is. I'm gonna go through my files right now.
It's like it's just one of those films. I can honestly just keep saying, like, as like me and Sam, friend of the show, Wild Aside, me, him, and another uni mate watched this, and we were just like three grown men in university sitting on a bed watching this film, and we were all bawling. That is like one of the things. Like,
Wow.
it is such a. But wait, have you found it?
It's from a long time ago.
All right. What episode was it?
Episode 75, Pepe explains. I think it was the Slice of Life episode.
It must have been the Slice of Life episode. So this is like one of the things that kind of started it, like in the fact that
Jeez.
like there's an emotional. I love an emotional series, and I love an emotional movie as well. I won't sit down and. It takes a lot for me to sit down and watch one, but I think it's because there's just so much in it, and like it's just a throwaway movie that we put on one time, but it is stuck with me, and the acting in it is absolutely brilliant.
Sometimes that's how it is. Like, that's how I watch. Like, Grave of the Fireflies was the same thing. I was up late one night just watching film 4.
Yeah.
And it just came on. And I was like, oh, cool, a Ghibli film. And I just left it on. Like, sometimes that's the best thing, you know, when you discover a new whatever and it's like just a happy accident. You never intended to, but it was just there.
You have no expectations from it. That's the thing that catches you off guard. You're just watching this thing just to be like, yeah, okay, what's this about? And then it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. Like, when you know nothing of it and then it's like, yeah. And it becomes like one of your favorite things. You're just like, wow.
Yeah, it is massive. Honestly, like, I don't want to explain why it made me so emotional, because if I did, it's a spoiler.
Yeah, I get that.
And if I can, I will literally tell everyone to watch this film, because I don't think it gets enough recognition for what it does.
Fair.
People will probably argue that there are more emotional films out there, and there's other ones like that probably do this better. But this film has always stuck with me. I'll always like say that this is like up there. It's like one of my favorites.
I literally also I just remembered another film that I don't know how I forgot. Like, I watched this film so much.
Yeah.
The Water Boy. How that would definitely be in my top.
What the fuck?
Bro, you know I watched that film like
I know.
so much.
I know, but it's such a different film to what we were
I know.
just talking about.
I know, but it was just because I was sitting here thinking about it, like, what films have I've watched just a shit ton that would definitely be in my favorites. I'm like, The Water Boy.
I mean, granted, Waterboy is an absolutely hilarious. But it's the transition. I was like, this is emotional. It made me cry. I'd recommend this to everyone. And David's like, Waterboy.
Like, it wasn't a great segue. It wasn't a great
It was
transition,
not-
but
it
I
was
wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to segue to it.
You made it sound like you were go like, oh mate, talk about emotional films and the other. I was expecting, okay, shit, he's gonna get fucking Adam Sandler film. It's
Hey man, I was invested. I was emotional for Bobby Boucher's story as the Water Boy.
if we're gonna talk Adam Sandler films, though, I'm gonna say that out of like Waterboy, Happy Gilmore for me is gonna be above Waterboy. If I was gonna
Wow, okay.
like Happy Gilmore, I think is one of those films I just found. Little Nicky as well.
Yeah.
Little Nicky's a great. I love Little Nicky.
See, but that's all the same sort of like that era, you know, like
It's the era of Adam Sandler films.
it's like early Sandler stuff. So
I mean that era, like Sandler killed that era. He put out so many films where it was just like
they were so good.
there were so many. Like there's probably like a bunch more as well. Like
Oh yeah, there's like way more from the like around the same time, but
what's that one where he adopts a kid?
oh
Is it Big Daddy or something like that or something?
yeah, it's Big Daddy, I swear, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember watching that as I think it is one of those films that like my parents really enjoyed that film as well.
Oh okay.
So like it was one of those films that we actually all watched together and we're like, oh, this is actually quite a good film, like kind of thing. Like compared to obviously modern Sandler films where it's like Happy Gilmore is like, fuck you, clown. and like all those kind of things. Like so it's a very but like that like it was even like what was it? The Wedding Singer was up there as well. It was like one of those Sandler films.
Yeah.
There was what's that film where he's in kindergarten?
Oh, fuck.
Like I can't remember what it's called now. It's gonna really bug me.
I can't remember.
Oh god, it's gonna piss me off now.
Probably should look it up.
I'm really just gonna look it up. Let's see.
Oh man, there's a lot from that time period, but like I think the only modern quote unquote one I liked. Not a lot of people did,
Yeah.
but I actually liked You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. I think that was the start. That was the start of the films where I was like, okay, this wasn't as good as his previous one.
For you know what, a lot of people say that, but like I liked that. I liked it. I thought it was like still sort of like randomly stupid.
Billy Madison as well. That's the film.
Billy, right.
I actually haven't seen it. I just know that it was like of that kind of era.
The thing is, like a lot of the old ones, like I know of, I haven't seen as well. Like Little Nicky, I've got on DVD. Like What Boy, Happy Gilmore, like
Yeah.
those ones I've seen, but there are a few that I just sort of added to the list. I just haven't got around to it. Yeah,
Made it. Like, you added them to the list in fucking 2008, and it's been on there for like freaking 18 years. It is one basically like what we're basically getting at is that there's like an era of films where Adam Sandler was just absolutely killing it.
yeah, he was killing it.
And like there is like I think there is like the occasional movie which does come through with Adam Sandler like these days. Like I think he get one or two breakout hits.
For example,
Like what wasn't like was it The Shoemaker or something like that? Like I can't remember what that thing. I heard that was quite good.
oh yeah, I heard that was quite good.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like he doesn't always come through these days, but like what was the name of that film? The Shoemaker. I mean, Grown Ups was supposed to be good, pretty good, wasn't it?
I never watched it.
51st States as well. That was a really good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a solid one.
Yeah, what is it like?
I know the film you're talking about because everybody was talking about that, and it was fairly recent.
Yeah. Then you've got like some absolute atrocious ones like Jack and Jill, which is like,
Never watched it.
yeah, that was.
I've only ever seen the fucking clip of it.
The Cobbler is what it's called.
The Cobbler, right.
Yeah, okay. There's a fair few. Like, I mean, people love the Hotel Transylvania films, I guess, but
Never watched them.
neither have I. So
I know they were popular because I think I was working at a cinema when the second or third one came out. One of them was coming out, and like those screens were busy.
yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those films like we probably wouldn't really have watched them. I think it's not so much our thing these days. We might have been into it if we were kids or like I don't know at that age.
Yeah, I can agree with that because it's like the equivalent of the animated films we watched when we were kids.
Yeah, it's kind of like you know what it feels like. It's not exactly a Disney film, but it's like kind of like you know the things that you think are Disney Pixar, but they're not actually that. Like it's like those things like what was it? Shark Tale and stuff like that, where it's like,
oh yeah.
you think it's Disney Pixar as a kid, but then you think, oh, it's 3D, it's gonna be good. Then you watch and you're like, oh, that really wasn't that good.
I remember Shark Tale being pretty good.
I hated Shark Tale.
Did you actually? Oh wait, I think you told me that before actually.
I think I've even probably told you this on an episode to be.
And on recording, like
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I feel like we've had this conversation.
It's probably in a Disney Pixar episode or whatever, where we're talking about them.
Probably.
It is just one of those films where I think when I was comparing it to something like Finding Nemo, because I believe that year there were two big fish films that were out. It was Shark Tale and Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Finding Nemo was such a good one. And then I followed up with Shark Tale, and I was like, Will Smith at the time as well, still huge.
Yeah.
He still is like quite prevalent in movies. But like back then, like I think the 2000s and like 1990s, it was like that was his era, I think, of like great Will Smith films. And he did Shark Tale, and I'm like, oh, a fish film with Will Smith. It's gonna be good. And then I watched it, I was like, oh, I don't like this whatsoever. As a kid, to be like, I actively don't really care for this film. I think there's a lot of those ones where I'd come out of it, I was like, nah, I don't like it. Like Dinosaur as well. People go crazy over Dinosaur. Nah, that was boring.
I don't know that I've seen it.
No, it's a shit film. I don't like dinosaurs. This is a kid that quite liked dinosaurs as a kid. Walking with dinosaurs, all that kind of stuff. Like,
I mean, what kid didn't like dinosaurs though? Like,
exactly, yeah.
most kids like dinosaurs.
Exactly. Fucking big reptiles. I mean, considering I was a dinosaur kid, I did not like Jurassic Park either.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I still don't really rate it that much, having watched them.
Wow.
I know people say they're like some of the best films. Having watched them, I was like, nah.
I wouldn't go so far to be like, oh, they're some of the best. It is a really good film though.
They're iconic. I can understand why they're iconic. And it, like, don't get me wrong, I love the scene, like, what is it?
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yes, it is. It's an iconic scene, and I do appreciate it. But like, as a whole film franchise, like the Jurassic World films, I just don't even bother with.
First one was okay.
Like, and I don't know, seeing these films, I just really didn't care for them.
Fair. Is there any other film you want to mention?
Is there?
I feel like this could go on for quite a while, but we're getting close to the end.
That's the one. Yeah, I agree. There's probably very little I can. Is there anything else I want to mention? Not particularly. I'm just a fan of like those kind of comedy films, like animation, any theater films as well, like musicals. I mean, realistically, most of them are quite shit compared to compared to actual like Broadway and West End shows. So yeah, I think I've pretty much run into the end there. There's not much else I can say.
Fair, same.
As you said, this could go on and on. I could list over hundreds and hundreds of movies that I've seen before. And
I mean, if I prepared a little better, I probably could as well. But okay then, well, that's it then, right?
Yeah, I think so. I ain't got much more to say.
Yeah. Well then, if you think you like the description of any of these films we mentioned you haven't seen yet, maybe go and watch them. I know we didn't do the best job, but
Basically this has been like an hour of us just listing off films, basically. Like, that film, that's a good film. Oh, that one, that's a good film. But then you're like, that's a shit film. Fucking Shark Tale, it sucks.
Honestly though, if you haven't seen some of those films and maybe they interest you in whatever way, like most of the films we talked about I would recommend.
Yeah.
At least the ones that I've seen.
I mean, that's literally it. I feel like there's so much we've listed off in this whole episode. Like, I'll get Nathan to watch Nightmare Before Christmas as well at some point. I'll force him. I'll sit him down.
Well, I feel like the people will know when I do, because I feel like there's going to be an episode at some point, probably.
By the way this episode has gone, it really does sound like it.
Well, like it's more stuff to add to the list for the first quote unquote whatever we call it. We never actually came up with a name for it, but like it's just adding fuel to the fire, isn't it? It's just like more things like, right, you gotta fucking watch that, dickhead, because it's my favorite film.
Foreshadowing.
Pretty much.
Like Nathan said, though, I feel like we've come to an end. But he said, yeah, like, let us know if you've seen any of these films, or if you go check out any of these films that we've mentioned. That'd be great. Like, let us know in the comments. But yeah, nice one. Thank you for listening, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Cultured Boys videos. Links in the description to all the podcast platforms that we're on. We're also on Twitter. Check us out there. And we'll see you next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.